Hey there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Guess what we got? Second 3D printer. They're running a special on these on Amazon. I think they're 500 and change normally, $200 coupon. So I bought another one. Since we never did an unboxing video for the first one, I figured we may as well do it for this one. So we're gonna pop this guy open, check it out, run through the setup, and print a test file and see what it does. Go ahead and get this guy open first. Foam. I think I'm gonna put it on its side here. Try to slide it out. Top. So the thing about these printers is they're supposed to be ready to go out of the box. Bed leveled, no setup required. For the most part on my first one, that was true, but I found that if I leveled the bed a little better, I was getting a lot better prints. I was struggling for kind of a while on that one the first time around. Okay, so we got this guy on its top right now, and this. So they claim this is like an all metal construction, but in reality I think this is just like laminated fiberboard or maybe masonite. It's still a pretty rigid frame though. Inside of here it looks like this is where the hot end and everything is. Open up this little box first. Printer filament, glass bed. Not sure what's in there. Got all the accessories and tools. Power cord. And here's the hot end here. That's all that's in there. Just gonna drop this guy down here for now. Cut off this exterior plastic. That's done. Okay. Set this back here for now. There's more stuff inside. Warranty and SD card in here. This has got what appears to be the door and the red top enclosure. And then got some foam blocks here. Lots of foam in this one. And then maybe I'll grab the camera and I'll just run over here so you guys can see all of the zip ties and stuff that hold this in place. So bring the camera inside here, you'll see they've got a zip tie tying the bed down so it can't move in the front and in the back here. You got the carriage is all zip tied up so it can't move around. Same thing on that side there. So we're just going to cut all those zip ties out and then basically free everything up. Side cutters here. Cut these guys out. Oh, what was that? Oh shoot. So this guy was actually damaged here, huh? The zip ties were holding it together. This little plastic piece actually attaches to the carriage here, and that's what the belt pulls against to move it back and forth. So that's going to be a bummer. Let's see here. I wonder how replaceable that is. Shoot. Alright, so this little piece of the carriage here is completely sheared off. I think I can zip tie it together for now, but I'm definitely going to be contacting Bibo to see if they'll replace this whole thing, or at least this part. I want to try to get a test print for you guys, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to try to zip tie this in place here for now. See if that is going to be strong enough. Okay, I think that's as good as that's going to get there. Cut those off, back online there. And now we'll keep cutting these other zip ties off here. Gotta find a little belt tensioner I seem to have lost. I'm feeling it's just under the bed here. Ones that go through the bottom, just going to cut the heads off and then hopefully pull them out from the bottom. Bring this over here, close that up. It's just a few zip ties that go through the bottom here. Just going to pull those out. Where's the other one? Oh, here it is underneath this motor wire. There we go. Okay. Got those out. I guess now's a good time to show you the bottom. So the bottom, you got your power supply, your Z-axis motor here. All the controls are behind here. You can kind of see the edge of the control board here for the touch screen. If we flip it on its side, see we've got a USB-B, I think that's called, a regular USB 2.0, and an SD card reader. Front has a touch screen on it, and then on the back is your power inlet and a on-off switch, and that's pretty much all there is to the unit. Get it flipped back around here. So here we've got the double extruder. So these are direct drive extruders on these guys, and again a dual extruder printer. So this basically just sits down inside there like that, and then there's a couple of screws that we'll have to install to hold it in place. I don't think there's anything in here. Okay, this is your filament runout sensor that goes on the back. So it's just got a couple of momentary switches, and then your filament goes up through these tubes. If it runs out, the switch opens. So we'll mount that to the back as well. Okay. Directions in here, maybe? Here's that little spring I was missing. I should put this back on here before we forget entirely. It's in the worst possible spot, but it's got to be done. Okay, so we got that clip on there, belt is tensioned again. Hopefully this is still square with itself. Let's see, I was looking for some directions. So direction-wise, screws marked 8 or 10. Connect the back connectors, fix the nuts. Okay, so this is the instruction sheet from the front, and then the back here, it's got some pictures. I think the full instructions are on the SD card, and there's also some installation instructions on the Bibo website, and I think they might even have a video about it. I'm just going to set some of this stuff aside real quick. We're not going to need it just yet. Hardware, everything else. Not going to need this. Cool. Okay. So here's these screws marked 8, like the instructions say. And here we've got some Allen wrenches. These are probably some of the worst Allen wrenches ever, but you know, they do their job, I guess. They don't do it well, but they get it done. Some of this stuff out of here. Okay. Before I set this on here, there's these two holes here and here, and they line up with the holes on the bottom just before the drives, right here and here. And so we're just going to set this assembly in there like that, and then tighten those screws from the bottom side. While we're over here, I'll show you the brake. See, you can see the crack here. This whole top piece that holds the other side of the belt just completely is shearing off, and so there's nothing to keep the belt tied to the gantry here. Okay, so I got my screw and Allen wrench. Shift this over here to the side. See what I'm doing. I'm trying to remember which hole it is here. There we go. Drop this on here. I'm just going to get the first one started, and then I'm going to start the other side as well. Before I completely tighten them, that way I've got it aligned properly. Okay, that one pretty tight there. Go ahead and tighten down the other side. So now our double extruder housing is up and mounted to the gantry. We're just going to plug in the part cooling fans. There's one for the back and for the front of the extruder assembly. They just have these little wiring harnesses that you clip together. That is pretty easy if you can get them lined up correctly. There we go. Okay, so now we've got that installed. I'm just going to spin this Z-axis. And then pull out this last little piece of foam here from underneath. Alright, so I think that is the bulk of the front. Alright, we can keep going now. Got that front end all dialed in. We're gonna do the runout sensor now on the back side. Try to show that there. So basically what we've got going on here, there's two kind of slotted holes. In this guy, we're going to insert a nut into each of those, and then the bolt through the back side of the printer, through these holes, and then tighten it down. So in our other bag of hardware, we should have a couple of bolts and nuts for that. press those nuts in. They fit kind of loose, so kind of got to hold them up while you do this. Just kind of push this carriage back a little bit so it can be out of our way. There goes the bolt. Might have to clean these up a little bit. Looks like there's a little bit of foam here that's kind of in the way. That Allen wrench from the inside. Drop the Allen wrench, that's critical. Good Lord. Just dropping things left and right here. Honestly, this is not the easiest thing to install. You don't have a lot of room. You gotta work around everything else. But once it's on there, it's done. I guess that's all that matters. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one, same thing. But now with more things in the way. Got that nut in there finally. Just gonna spin this back up. Holding pressure from the other side so we don't lose it. Line up those two holes. Allen wrench again. Okay, now that's on. In the process of putting that on, I noticed this bolt here that holds this momentary switch in place came off. So I'm just gonna reattach that real quick. Runout sensors aren't gonna work very well if the switch moves. Okay, that's that. And then you'll see here there's just one little wiring harness connection to make back here for the two runout sensors. Cool, that's done. Okay. And now we gotta connect these guys here. These just kind of snap around the wire here, the wire loom, and hold it in place so the printer's not fighting it the whole time. So same thing, we're going to put a nut in the back side here and then thread this bolt from the front. And this one is right kind of underneath / in front of one of those linear rails, which makes it extra fun. Does this really go in there like that? Seems like it's too small. Might need a washer, but I guess not. Okay. So I'm just gonna hold the nut with my needle nose here on one side, get my Allen wrench from the other, and there is literally just enough room for the Allen wrench to pass underneath the rail while you tighten this thing. They could have moved this down like, I don't know, 2 millimeters. Would have been so much easier. Okay, so we haven't made any progress there because the nut is not sitting correctly. Come around from this side here. Let's see if I can do this from here. Sorry I got my back turned to you so much. Just don't have the right angles for this. Now we've got it started at least. Pliers are going to be just a little too big for that, so I'm going to try to cram the other Allen wrench in there so the nut just doesn't spin when I'm trying to tighten it. These pieces aren't keyed to hold the nut, which is kind of unfortunate. I'm remembering all of the fun times I had setting up the other one. For some reason I thought it was a little more plug and play, but it is not. Okay, so we got that guy. Give some slack up the side there. I thought there used to be another one of those that went right here, but maybe they got rid of that. I don't know. This guy that just kind of snaps in over the side, and there you go. Now that's there, and you've got plenty of line to get across. Okay, cool. Done and done. What's next? Filament holders. So it comes with a couple of these guys. They're like, I don't know, probably ABS. Show it to you up close here. So it's just this part goes onto the back. There's a bolt that goes through the back of the printer, holds that on, And then these little things snap off, and you can extend this guy out depending on how wide your filament spool is, and then it just kind of goes right here, your spool goes here, and your filament goes up through the tube and then to the hot end. And that's pretty much it. So we've got a couple of plastic bolts here, and these guys just go through these two larger holes in the back of the printer here, and then this thing just spins up. This is by far the easiest part of this printer setup. And I always just put this little tab down because that's the way this thing is going to want to flex, and that'll give it a little more rigidity. And that goes in there just like that. Rinse, repeat. Forward the second one, if we can find the hole. Cool. There's those guys. All right. And then the last thing on the instructions is to put the glass bed on top of the aluminum heated bed itself here. I think we're going to save that for a little bit later because I want to put the door on and then show you how to build the top as well. So in this case, there's a bunch of plexiglass parts here. The other cool thing about this printer is they sell a laser engraver. I don't think it's a cutter, I think it's just an engraver head that can replace the 3D printed or 3D printer extruder, and then you can use it to like laser etch or engrave pieces as well. I haven't tried that yet. Let me know in the comments if you want me to pick one of those guys up and give it a shot. Alright, I'm just gonna push this off to the side here. We're gonna build the, this is the door here. I'm gonna build the top first. So the top goes together much like the run-out sensors go on. There's a back, a front piece here, and then the two sides with the angled piece, and then this larger piece is the top. So basically these guys just snap into there. The straight side of the side piece is what goes against the back, and the back is the piece with the U cut out of it. And that kind of goes here, so it lets the filament and the wiring harness go through. So the easiest way to do this I've found is to put the bolts through the back first, or the front, and then just start the nuts on them. Oh, and sorry, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we need to peel this plastic off, because once we put it together, it is almost impossible to take that off. And so anyway, the reason why this guy is red is so that you can look into it while the laser cutter is going. Laser engraving, whatever it is. Okay, there's that side there. Get all these peeled. Pretty satisfying peel, honestly. And given all the like cuts that are in this, it comes off surprisingly clean. I did wait to do this on my first one, and after printing a few times, the heat from the chamber kind of melted this on, and it was pretty tough to get off after that. So we're going to do it now. Okay, there we go. Continue with the bolts on this guy here. Thinking I need another camera over here on the bench so you can see some of the finer things that I'm doing. I have to figure that one out. Probably not for this video, but maybe the next one we'll get that dialed in. I wonder if I can mount it to the ceiling or something. Anyway, so then you just want to kind of slot these guys in on an angle into the grooves of each other, and then with your Allen wrench you're going to tighten up these bolts, and that holds the piece together in the corner. It's kind of an ingenious design, but it is also incredibly annoying. Props to whoever figured this out, but yikes at the same time. Oh, I already got this done. I forgot. Okay. Same thing. Snap in, and then tighten these guys up here. And that's the back and two sides attached there. I'm going to do the same thing for the front. So the front, the top of the front is the edge that has the two rectangles cut out of it, and that allows the top to sit in, and the top doesn't have any hardware. It's just compression fit completely. Again, pretty cool design. Giant pain to build. Looks like we're going to be one bolt short, which means I used a bolt in the wrong place somewhere else. No extra hardware, huh, Bibo? That would be too easy. Okay, I wonder if I have some extra from the last one. Probably not. Maybe. Okay, before you get the last side on there, you want to slot this top in while you can still kind of bend the whole thing out. And it just fits into all these little knockouts. Just like so. Coerce the front onto there. Put this last one in. There's no nut either though, so I feel like they shorted me something. Okay, well, that's okay. It'll stay together like that. So this guy just goes right on top. that. Oh, I think we missed a couple. There we go. Okay. Cool. So that's the top. The door here, same thing. We're going to peel that. If we can find the edge. Yikes. Wow. These are expertly cut. Apparently very sticky. Holy cow. Find a better vantage point. Nope. Okay. Switching to the other side. Good Lord. Can I get this off to save my life? Where's that little knife? Finally got a little bit of a tab there. Once you get it, it comes off nice and easy. But man, is that hard to get to. There we go. Okay. Cool. Clear door for the front. Why is the door clear but the top is red? Not sure. Maybe the laser like reflects off of that glass bed up. I don't know. Seems a little strange. Okay, so anyway, over here we've got these two smaller plastic bolts. Those go through the back and hold the door handle on. Out of 10, I would recommend putting the door handle on before trying to mount it to the hinges because it'll give you something to actually grab. Struggling today. Okay, here we go. Alright, and then we've got just a couple, or I guess there's 4 small countersunk bolts and corresponding nuts. And this guy basically goes behind the hinge like that. The bolt goes through the hinge first, then through the door, and then put the nut on from the back side. This door actually does a pretty decent job of keeping the heat in, coupled with the top piece there. I feel like you don't lose a lot to heat. All right, screwdriver. Alright. And that's pretty much it. Tear the protective plastic off of the LCD there. I got these guys on Amazon for this printer. They are just little silicone boots that go over the hot end and around the extruder tip. And it just keeps it clean when ultimately your filament goes haywire on your print and you've got a big ball underneath the nozzle. It gets wrapped around the extruder. This whole thing just snaps off. If you can free it, awesome. If you can't, buy some more and you're back in business instead of trying to clean the whole thing off. Melt that filament back. Kind of see them down here. You just kind of cap the hot end. Another 11 out of 10 would recommend. Okay. I think that's pretty much everything we need. We can actually turn this puppy on and get going. Just collect all these Allen wrenches and stuff. So, what else came in the box? We've got a bunch more ridiculously long zip ties. No idea what these are for. Shouldn't have to zip tie anything else up except for apparently our broken gantry, but these are way too big for that anyway. They give you some small binder clips to hold the glass bed onto the aluminum bed, USB-A to USB-B wire with ferrule, or whatever these things are called. If you want to connect directly to your computer. Got another temperature sensor for the hot end. No, this is the actual heating element for the hot end. There we go. Oh, some more bolts. This is what we need to finish the top. We'll do that probably. Big glue stick. Chinese branded, but could work. And a screwdriver, which we needed a second ago, but I got my own. Okay. Also, we've got a full-size SD card. Let's see, 4 gigabytes. Doesn't look like it's anything special. Oh, is this no, just a regular SD card. So we'll see what that's about. Power cable, of course, we talked about that already. And then they give you a 1 kilogram roll of white PLA. I've actually still got my roll from the old printer, so I think I'm going to leave that sealed for now. And I will use the old roll. So still getting to see the filaments that it comes with, but that way that one stays vacuum packaged. Okay. Put the rest of this stuff in here that we don't need right now. Okay, power cord, binder clips we'll need. Let's fix this thing real quick while we're here. That's gonna bother me. Okay. So this time around, we gotta hold the nut in place here and thread the bolt through. Not impossible, but the other way is definitely easier. And of course I put the Allen wrench away already. Alright, one of these days we're going to figure this out. Okay. Cool. Nice done. Put these extra bolts here. Those out of the way. Shouldn't need these tools anymore. And then I forgot about the bed. This guy back here. Alright, so I think this is just a standard piece of glass, nothing special. Fits pretty snug in between the bolts here. So basically this guy goes in here, sits between this back bolt and these two front ones here. And then you just take these binder clips and clip them to the outside. Now I have noticed, depending on the size of your print and like how far the nozzles need to track over the bed, you'll find that these get like knocked off sometimes and then your bed goes crazy. Okay, so now we're gonna plug it in and see if we can get a test print going. Take the power cord here, just tie off of it. All right, plug this in, down here, into the back of the unit, turn it on. Just gonna lower the door for now. Okay, so it's on. You can see the touch screen. We'll zoom in on that in a little bit. But first, I'm going to go ahead and load up some filament so you guys can see. Alright, so this is the same Bibo white filament that came with the unit, but the old spool from my last printer, or my other printer I guess I should say. Just going to put that on the spool holder like that, and then you route, okay, hold the switch back, route this up through the tube, and then we will spin this back around, take the lid off. I'm just going to go through the menus real quick and preheat all of the extruders. I'll show you how to do this later. Get E1 and E2 up to 200 degrees. And we'll preheat the bed too, just for the heck of it. Eventually we're going to start a print. So, okay, while the extruders are heating up, maybe I'll show you the interface real quick. So this here is the touch screen. This is the main kind of splash screen of it. So what I just did is I hit preheat, and then you can see it says that it's on the bed right now. If I hit this guy, it changed to E1 and shows you the temperature and then the target temperature, the current temperature and target temperature. And hit that again, it'll switch to E2. And again, bed. To increase the temperature, you hit the add button. To decrease the temperature, you hit the subtract button. This button changes the step. So you got 1 degree Celsius, 5 degrees Celsius, or 10 degrees Celsius steps. So whichever one those are set to, like for now, the bed is set to 60 and we're at a 10 degree step. So if I add, it'll add another 10 to the bed. I'm just going to put it back down to 60 because we're going to print PLA. And then off will turn all the heating elements off, basically. hit back, move, gives you, again, same thing, the step is here in the upper right corner. So move that to like 10. If you hit your Z, plus is down, minus is up, Y back and forth, and X as well. So I just pull back so you can see that. So send the Z up. It thinks that's all the way up right now, but we'll home it in a second. This is Y forward, Y backwards, and then X left, and X right. Hit the back button, go back to that center screen. Home button, you can select between X home, Y home, and Z home. And then turning the motors off, which I've never used, or you can select the home all, and here it'll start the homing sequence. So it's going to move in the X direction first. It hits its limit switch, and then it starts the Y direction. Hits the limit switch, and it'll start raising the bed. Cool. And now the printer is home. We hit back here. Printing is where you would go to select a print file that was either on the SD card or the USB. Extrusion is where we're going to go next to load the filament. Leveling is just a sequence that will move the nozzle to various points on the bed, so you can use a leveling card to ensure that the bed is level. As you can see, it just dropped the bed, and now it's going to move the extruders to the front corner here. You can see it looks like it's pretty good there. Let's move it to the second point, which is the left corner. So it looks like it's dropping, moving across. And there again looks okay. And then Z, the back center back center point. It'll drop the bed and then move to the back. Also looks pretty good. So bed might actually be level out the box. What else we got here? Settings. So there's the about information, which just tells you what version of software you're on. Fan settings, you can turn up or down all the different, or the I think just the cooling fans on this. Yeah. And then Wi-Fi settings, I've never used this, and the reason is because I have my other printer running on a Raspberry Pi with Octoprint, another highly recommended setup there, and I have another video for that, check that out. The file system, if you want to read from the SD card or the USB port on the side here, you can select between that. We're going to leave it on SD because I think there's a test file on that SD card. Continue, I think, is for continuation prints. Filament, this is where you load and unload the filament. First you gotta get the nozzles preheated, so we're going to come back to this one. Language, you can change the language here. Looks like they've got a few different options. and then this back button takes you to the back, and on the more screen it's just a back button. Okay, so preheat, we talked about this already. We've got the bed preheated, we've got the extruder 1 and extruder 2 preheated. So now we're going to go to extrusion, or actually we're going to go to settings and then filament, and then we're going to hit load once we get the filament actually into the extruder. So I'm going to put the camera back on the tripod here. Hopefully you can see that. So these are kind of finicky. You really gotta kind of straighten out your filament as best you can. And then you're gonna push this little lever down and then try to coax the filament through the extruder and into the hot end. You should kind of feel it get mushy at the bottom there, especially if it's been warming up for a little while. Okay, so now that's in there. I'm just going to drop the bed a little bit so we're not extruding directly onto the bed. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back to settings, go back to filament, and then the load. I'm going to switch the nozzle to E1 and then hit load. And that will start pulling filament after it goes through the initial heating. So if you haven't preheated, the touchscreen will prompt you to preheat. I've already preheated, so it just says heating is complete, please confirm. Hit confirm, and now it says it's loading filament. That's the progress of the load, and you can see, I think here, that the filament is dropping out of the extruder. White filament on a gray background is not the easiest. You can see it kind of fall back there. So now we've got the filament loaded properly. Let's go ahead and plug in this SD card. I think the pins face towards you when you load it. Back here, the printing. Stuck. Is that locked? No way to know. Alright, I think we seized it up, so I'm gonna turn it off and turn it back on. Classic maneuver here. Second or two to figure itself out again. Turn it back on. Let's see what we got here. Printing. There we go. Okay. So in here we got part assembly, simplify, touch make, and then software, troubleshooting, printing tips, test G-code. That's what we want. So the only one that's legible to me is this left one, and it says house -1. So let's try that. Just gonna clear this stuff off the bed real quick. Also gonna take the supplied glue stick and just liberally coat the print bed. I don't think this model is going to be very big, but we'll prepare for that anyway. Okay, so that should be good to go there. Oops, that was probably nauseating, sorry. Alright, go for the house. We're in it's an 80-minute print, so we're going to start it. See how the first layer goes, maybe a couple layers after that, and then we will come back. It says filament detection switch not present. I'm gonna hit confirm just so it'll start, but you hear that alarm going off. That's the filament run out. What if I have that backwards? So I just went ahead and unplugged that test switch for now. Get the camera remounted here. So when we turn the printer off, we lost our preheat, which is unfortunate. I'm just going to preheat the unit. So I just stopped the print. I'm going to try to get it going again here. Okay, so in the test G codes, the house is actually the left extruder, and then there's a right extruder, and there is a dual extruder option. So I'm going to print off of the right extruder, assuming that is extruder 0 that we loaded filament into. Yeah, that looks like that's correct. And that's probably why the filament runout sensor was going off, is because we don't have any filament in the first one, or the second extruder. Well, there goes that theory. Just gonna unplug that again. That beep is incredibly annoying. Okay, so now bed is heating up again. Extruder 1 is heating up. Extruder 2 is also heating up. Is that gonna stop? Okay, we're getting close. 185 degrees on the extruder and 38 on the bed. It's okay, take your time. So I will say the user interface on this thing is complete garbage. I went ahead and hooked my other one up to Octoprint running on a Raspberry Pi, and then that's got a hard line USB to the USB-B port on the back, on the side of the printer, but toward the back. That system works flawlessly. The control is seamless. Everything just talks to each other nicely, and I don't have to like save the STL file or the G-code file to the a flash drive or to the SD card and then bring it over to the printer and configure the print from there. I can literally slice it on my computer, drop the G-code file into Octoprint, and load it onto the printer, and it's off to the races. You can preheat from there, we can move from there. You can also set up your like a little camera webcam so you can see your prints from that screen, which for my setup where I've got the printers in the closet, that's kind of nice, so I can see what's going on inside the printer. They've also got some like I think it's called Spaghetti Detective, some AI that will track your print, and if it's you start spewing filament all over the place, it cancels the print or pauses the print at least for you. There's a bunch of other add-ins, filament managers and preheat settings, and anyway, it makes this user interface on the printer look like a complete piece of garbage, and just really makes this printer way more usable. So I'm doing this test file directly on the printer for you, because this is how you're going to get it out of the box when you order it, but highly recommend. Spend the extra 30 bucks or 40 bucks on the Raspberry Pi power supply camera. Set that thing up inside of your 3D printer. I've actually just got mine mounted right underneath here, some double-sided tape in a Raspberry Pi case right here. The USB cable runs around the side here and then connects to the USB port on the side. Power I just run out the back and it works like a dream. Alright, it's going. It's making a tiny little cube. And I'm kind of thinking the bed is a little too high. We'll see how it comes out. Alright, looks like it finished. It's gonna go ahead and home itself here. Open the door up. I'm just gonna move the Z-axis down a bit. So this is the print. Wow, that is stuck. It's just a little rectangle. Not sure that that's what it's supposed to be or not. Know for sure though that we're too close to the bed. You can see the first layer is just crammed down there. No, that's just glue. Okay, but we definitely need to adjust the bed height a little bit. It's, I think, a little bit too high, and that's kind of what I noticed as soon as the nozzles crossed over the bed the first time. It would look like it was the bed was deflecting to meet them. I'm going to go ahead and go to settings. Oh, I'm going to go to leveling. I'm going to bring it to 0.1. What I use for this is just a business card. So slightly thicker paper than you know, your standard printer paper. Yeah, that's way too tight. Can't even get that under there if you wanted to. Okay, so we're gonna tighten these guys up a little bit. So much for level out of the bed, huh, Bibo? No more. Okay, now we slide under a little too easy. Bring it back. Just a smidge more. Okay, got some solid resistance there. Let's go to 0.2. It's just a little too tight. I'm going to tighten this up here. It's a little loose. Back down. A little bit more. Okay, that's seems like a good amount. Go to 0.3. This one's kind of hard to get to. Yep, too tight. So there's one more wing nut underneath in the back here. Tighten that up a little bit here. Okay, now we got too much room. Just a little bit more. Seems better. Yeah. Maybe just a smidge too tight. Too loose. Let's go back to 0.1. One more time. While I'm doing this, I'm checking both the nozzles. Might have gone back to 0.2 accidentally. Oops. Ah, okay, I did good one. Seems okay. Let's go to 2. You want to do this while it's hot. Everything expands just a little bit when it heats up. So okay, let's try that now. with this one. Okay, bottom looks much better on this one. It's a pretty small part, so hard to tell if we're perfectly level, but bottom looks way better. Just a little chunk missing on one part there. Top looks nice and flat, sides are good. I mean, overall, a far better print than our last one. Might be a little more tuning to do, but you know, without going into something larger, it's going to be hard to tell. I have switched the file system on this guy to read a USB flash drive, and I downloaded a Benchy, sliced that, and threw it on here using the Bibo preset profiles in Cura that you can download off of their website, and I think are also included on the SD card. And so I've got this Benchy file that I'm going to go ahead and print, and just before it gets going, I'm just going to fill in the middle with a little more glue stick, and we'll see how that does. Okay, that's heating up. Alright, benchy done. Let's move this guy down a bit. Pop it off the glass. Take the bed off here. Mess up the level. Probably wait for the bed to cool a little bit, but we're being impatient today. Alright. There it is. Not too bad. This is kind of my standard benchy file. And I think it's 30% infill, 0.15 layer height. I forget the speed, but it takes about an hour and a half to print usually. And you know, everything looks pretty good. A little bit of cleanup in the overhangs here and the arches. Front, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's a little bit of layer shift or something going on the front there, but overall pretty solid. Bottom is very legible. Not sure if the camera can actually pick that up or not. Yep. And I'm impressed. Pretty good. So I realized while we were printing all these things, I never really discussed the specs of the Bibo, so I got them here. The build volume is 214 by 186 by 160, which is roughly 8.4 by 7.3 by 6.3 inches. Layer resolution is 200 microns. What else? It's an FDM printer, obviously. It will print PLA, ABS, nylon, HIPS, flex, elastic TPE, polycarbonate, TPU, PETG, and carbon fiber. So the nozzles do get hot enough for some of those specialty filaments. You're probably going to need to swap out the brass nozzle though for a fully metal version. Obviously we got 2 extruders, which means that you can print in 2 different colors. You can print 1 roll as your support material, 1 extruder as your actual product part, and that allows you to use like a PVA filament, water-soluble filament, in order to get some supports that are dissolving perhaps. I haven't made a video on that yet, but I think I'm going to. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Some of the other specs for this guy: it's got a full color touchscreen, we saw that earlier. It has the ability to do laser engraving, that's another $100 module. What I was reading about, it will cut cardboard and paper and etch other soft materials like wood or some plastics. It is got a filament run out. It's got a print save feature if the power goes out, so once power is restored the printer will resume where it left off. SD card or flash drive capable, as well as direct connection to your PC. Max nozzle temp is 270. The software is Repetier Host, and you can use Cura or Simplify 3D with that. I use Cura personally, and it takes 1.75 millimeter filaments. The nozzles that it comes with are two nozzles, 0.4 millimeter diameter. And I think that is all there is for the specs. I was going through the box as well, and I found that it comes with a little poking tool, so you can poke through the top of the extruder to push out some of the previous material, or if you get a clog, you can kind of force that down that way. Never noticed this on the last one, but it was taped to the inside of this box that had all the accessories on it, or in it. So that's kind of nifty. I was just about to buy one of these the other day, actually, and here it is. So yeah, the Bibo, overall, you know, I've had this one back here for about a year now. It's been a good printer. It's my first printer, so I'll say that. It's a dual extruder, which is pretty nice. Dual extruder prints do take kind of a long time because you gotta, you know, have a prime tower and purge, and then retract whichever nozzle is not being used. So it's not the most amazing thing in the world, but the ability to be able to print with, you know, dissolvable filaments or multicolors without having to get like, you know, to splice these filaments together or pause the print or mess with the G-code to swap out filaments at a given time, that's pretty nice. And so I like it. It's taken a little bit of time to kind of dial it in. I think I took their word for it at the beginning that the bed was level on this one, and it was close, but it wasn't perfect. Now it's doing pretty good. This guy we saw right out of the box was nowhere near level. Well, it was probably level, but it wasn't the right height for the nozzle. So we got that figured out. Of course, this one came kind of busted, so I gotta talk to Bibo about that. Hopefully they'll send me a replacement part or a whole new machine. Ideally a whole new machine. That looks like a pain in the butt to replace. The claims that it's, you know, easy setup, the beds comes level, you know, grab and go kind of thing. I don't know. It took us a little while to set this up. Obviously, you know, on the camera it takes a little longer, but it's not a hard build. We're not building like a Voron right from scratch. The main box is already there. We're just, you know, throwing some components onto the back of it and attaching the extruder. So in reality, it's not that bad. There are a couple of difficult screws to land, and the way that the system kind of comes together is a little interesting, but once it's together and you're good to go. As far as the touchscreen controls go, not all they're cracked up to be, in my opinion. They work okay. Every once in a while when I'm trying to print off of a flash drive or an SD card, I've got to like power cycle the unit, right, because it just locks up. And then, you know, getting it to preheat and then getting it to take the file. Sometimes there's, like, if I'm preheating and then I hit print, it'll like lose the setting that it needs to heat up, and it'll start, you know, it basically starts cooling down because the heater turns off. So my fix for this is Octoprint connected to a Raspberry Pi. That's what I've got going on this machine, and I plan to do the same for this one. I don't think you can run multiple printers off of one Pi, so you'll have to have one dedicated per printer, but for most people you're only going to have one of these. But that system is far superior. 11 out of 10 would recommend the investment in that and the setup. And I've got another video about how to set that whole system up, so go check that out definitely. So, I mean, the pros: dual extruder, has a 270-degree nozzle capacity, and a pretty decent build volume, heated bed, enclosure, ability to go and drop a laser engraving module onto it. The cons: And the touch screen, not that great. The filament run out situation could be better, I think, or maybe I just need to spend some more time with it. Obviously this one came broken, but I think that'll be fixable. So overall, I'd say the pros outweigh the cons, and this printer I think is listed for $550 on Amazon. You can't find a dual extruder printer for a much better price that's, you know, a decent quality, and I would say this fits the bill. And right now on Amazon they've got a $200 coupon, so this is only $350, which literally you can't find a dual extruder for $250. So I think it's a great deal for what it is. There are a few shortcomings here and there, but I think all 3D printers have those, unless you're going into some of the, you know, commercial grade machines, and even those I think have their faults as well. So I would recommend it. It's been a good first printer for me. Obviously I picked up a second one just because of the price and the volume of prints that I'm pushing through. I kind of need it. But anyway, I would recommend it. So that's going to do it for our unboxing and review of the Bibo 2 Touch 3D printer. You know, in this video we unboxed the thing, built it, ran some test prints, leveled the bed, dealt with the malfunction of the printer itself, I think from shipping, and printed a benchy as well. We talked about its specs and my personal review of it after owning this one here for the last year. So hopefully this video is helpful for you guys in trying to, you know, hunt down your next 3D printer, or your first 3D printer for that matter. This, like I said, is my first 3D printer, and it's been an experience, but I think a good one for sure. And so if you guys found this video helpful, please give us a like and consider subscribing to the channel. We are a new YouTube channel, and we're trying to gain some traction in this space, which is kind of tough. But anyway, give us a like, give us a subscribe, drop a comment below if this video was helpful to you, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks everyone.